What if World War One ended early? Well, here we are. What if World War Two ends early? And to do that, we will have Russia become completely mobilized even sooner. So while we have Austria's Archduke assassinated, yay, or no, depends. And then they get mad at Serbia, and then they go to war. Montenegro's like, hey. And Russia's like, no, you don't. And Germany's like, no, you don't. Because that's how World War One is. And then France is like, no, you don't. And then Germany's like, I'm going to invade Britain. I'm going to invade the not Benelux, Belgium and Luxembourg. And Britain's like, no, you won't. And well, let's see the beginning. We'll also increase the competences. And well, quickly they launch a surprise, quick invasion as they overwhelm the front lines. Yes, I'm estimating where these front lines were, and then they take Brussels pretty quick. And then they end up to here, or somewhere. And then they start advancing in. But instead, we're going to have it over here. Yes, they're over here focused on this front, right? And this is where Russia becomes mobilized. Yes, a lot sooner. Which leads to panic among the German population as forces quickly move in to Prussia. Well, they quickly take key territories, and even here. With Germany not worried about this, ending up continuing this front. Never I shocked how fast Russia mobilizes. With Germany managing to get to here, but they get pushed back by not having enough troops. And then this is where the front line manages to dig in. They get a stalemate here, but they fail to push Russia back. Then they try to move into Austria, but at this point, an offensive into Galicia has begun. With Austria and Germany having to focus on this Russian front line, which they didn't have to in our timeline, as this area follows East Prussia and Königsberg. With Serbia launching a small invasion, because they don't have enough forces to really launch an invasion, and them in Montenegro launch a small invasion. This puts pressure on the Austrian government. And the trenches are in trouble as not enough forces are there. They get pushed back. But luckily, they manage to move the trenches and continue this trenching over there. But knowing they can easily invade there, that's a problem. So they have to spread forces there. But due to this, it ends up with a small French invasion over here, taking not much, but enough that they have to continue these trenches due to not being able to fight. Well, breakthroughs here. And Austria failing to keep itself from being invaded from even Serbia. And while Russia is starting to cross over here. But they don't manage to get across as far as they would want. With Germany starting to send forces to this front, they manage to push the front back. But only one problem. Austria is being incompetent too. And Bulgaria doesn't want to join this. But Italy, now seeing an Entente victory likely, they decide to join it. Also, I have two mistakes. And this is France. This is Egypt. Yes, a few mistakes, not a big deal. And well, this is Italy. And with a new front, and this is earlier, we're probably early 1915. And with this and German forces moving, they end up falling back significantly in Belgium to make the front line smaller, and then they get pushed back even more. And out of Luxembourg they end up. And with this, they managed to get an offensive. You may be wondering how they got to this point so fast. Well, since more troops were over there and incompetence was being shown, yeah. With the Russian army slowly advancing. With Austria still not falling apart, that happened a lot later. As they start moving deeper into the Rhineland, and in the north, Russia manages to get all the way to the Austrian border. As in Silesia, the part of Prussia, they manage to get pushed back into northern Austria. With the Russians still trying to cross. But on this front, they managed to advance a tiny bit. And Germany is on the brink of collapse, as you can see, with France advancing rapidly. And on this front, Russia starts advancing here. Why here, you may ask? So they can get to Berlin as they start moving around it. And over in the Rhineland, the French manage to cross the Rhine River. And for Russia and Austria, they manage to move more into the mountains, but not cross it. And they move down near Romania. With Romania realizing the collapse is inevitable, they join. Though they won't get as much lands, because collapse doesn't happen in this video. Because it ends too soon. And by early, I mean it ends earlier. This is late 1915, or maybe early 1916. As Russia finally manages to get enough forces to start encircling Berlin. And even advancing more in the south. And then they encircle it and they start taking it as another offensive against Germany is started by France. This time they make a goal to get to the coast. And, well, they start advancing, but Berlin is not doing well. And they manage to escape Berlin to Munich, with Berlin falling. Well, France manages to get to the coast by mid to late 1916. With Germany at this point forced to surrender because they have no chances of victory at this point. And Austria surrenders, followed by Germany. And I'm getting attacked by a mosquito. Yes. So let's see the peace treaty. Yeah, in the peace treaty. Well, in the east, we can see bigger expansions in the west. Belgium gaining a bit of land, France gaining a lot more, as there's no America, meaning, well, since there's no America, they get annexed as much. And they make a puppet state here, basically, or a demilitarized zone, more likely, in that area, / occupied zone. And over here, Russia annexes some land, some of Galicia, from Austria, giving some to Poland, giving Poland some. They create a Polish state puppet, and then Germany is restricted more than what it was. And then Austria got it worse. For one reason, they were invaded more. But they're not fully done, so the guilt is still put on both, basically, instead. And while this puppet, Russia annexes some lands, some Transylvanian lands are gave to Romania, not all, and a big chunks gave to Serbia, parts of what we would call Bosnia, and parts of Benin. And then they also annexed Montenegro, with Italy annexing basically the same as what they did. Nothing really changed there. And well, that's all, and East Prussia is made really small, because they occupy more lands. And that's all for today's video. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Wild Mapper out, but not until you subscribe.